Hey guys, it's HarleyWood. Welcome back. All right, today we're going to take a look at a few products that you have probably seen more of recently. I certainly have. I've been to several industry events lately, and I have seen quite a bit of stuff from Axil. So I do have some stuff that they sent me. I have had it for 7 months, I believe now, maybe 6.5 months. There were some issues that I thought I was having, worked with customer service. I'm going to walk you through those and tell you what we discovered. But first, you know who doesn't have Axil Ear Pro? My boy Jeremy from What the Kicks. All right, so it's a little bit of an inside joke. I got back from Gunsight Academy recently. Bunch of YouTubers and content creators were there. Got to meet Jeremy from the What the Kicks Instagram channel. I'll post a link in the description below. And a super cool guy. I suggest you guys go follow him. He saw several people there wearing these, and he was like, why don't I have a pair of Axil Ear Pro? So I'm just messing with you, bro. All right. I have a bunch of Ear Pro, from simple, earplugs that are actually kind of custom molded, to walkers, to Caldwells, to, just generic stuff that I bought at Academy Sports many, many years ago. I have a lot of experience with different types of Ear Pro. And there is, what I mentioned was I thought an issue with Axil. Turns out it's a feature, not a defect. And none of these have that feature. We'll get into that in just a second. But first, I want to thank the sponsor of today's video. It's not actually Axil. The sponsor for today's video is Acre Gold. Now, if you're a fan of the channel, if you've been following me for many years, you know I actually started this channel on prepping, on doing get-home bags and bug-out bags and water filter reviews. But as a prepper, I have a lot of food preps. I have a lot of silver. Crypto doesn't really count, but the way that crypto I think is relative is I kind of dollar cost average into crypto. I have automatic buys set up, and I buy certain coins on a regular basis. All right, so I'm not making a huge purchase all at once. I'm kind of making little incremental buys, and slowly my portfolio builds. Well, it turns out you can do that with gold also, and you don't have to buy a big piece all at once. You can buy little tiny incremental pieces and have these shipped directly to your door. Now, as I mentioned, I have a decent amount of silver. I just went and grabbed some out of the safe. Silver's cool, it's pretty, it's fine, but this is my first piece of gold that I've actually invested into, and there is just something about gold, like, they talk about gold fever back in the days, and when I got this in hand, I was just like, damn. My wife has a gold ring, that's not my first time seeing gold, but I was like, this is pretty cool. All right, so how does this work? Acre has a program set up where you can have a monthly amount that you contribute towards what they call your stash, all right? And when your stash reaches a certain amount, they will actually send you the physical gold equal to that amount. And with inflation the way it's going, you might wanna look into some of this. This is a great hedge against inflation, and I'm a firm believer that if the balloon goes up, as we like to say in the prepper world, if SHTF happens, there's a couple things that are gonna be very valuable, all right? Bullion, bullets, and bourbon, all right? So this is something that would be fantastic, as well as, silver and bullets and bourbon and things like that for trade and barter in the event the financial system collapses. Now, full disclosure, the link in the description below is an affiliate link, so if you do click it and purchase, I do get a few dollars off of what you purchase, all right? The one that you'll see immediately is $50 per month. They do have a bigger option if you want to do like $100 a month, and you can get bigger bars. And lastly, they're also doing a gold bar giveaway, all right? I'm gonna put all those details in the description below. Basically, you just have to tweet at them, and you can be entered in that drawing. All right, now I've got 3 primary units that we're gonna go over here from Axil, okay? I have the customs, I have the extremes, and I have the over-the-ear muffs, the Bluetooth versions, all right? All 3 of these are Bluetooth compatible. They do have much cheaper options that aren't Bluetooth compatible, but hearing protection for me is particularly important. Not just hearing protection, and I'll go over the feature defect thing in just a second, but the feature of these is actually even more important to me now that I understand how it works. Now, I have really bad tinnitus in this left ear, all right? Years of shooting, and I used to shoot a lot of 22 unsuppressed and with no ear pro. I also exacerbated it quite badly about 1.5 years ago. I lit off my AR-15, the 223, down in the woods back here, and I had forgot to pull this ear back down of my earmuffs. So my ears are constantly ringing, and I do have a little bit of diminished hearing on this left side. Now, there are tons of ear pro out there, but one of the things I think makes Axil different is they actually cut their teeth as a hearing aid company, all right? So they were making hearing aids. They still do. There's a bunch of them on their website. And then they started to get into the hearing protection industry. Now, they brought the learnings from the hearing aid side and applied those to their hearing protection line. So let's talk about these customs, okay? The customs and the extremes are effectively the same thing. The big difference is price for one, but these customs are custom molded to fit in my outer ear, all right? I'll roll in a little quick video right here. My wife actually had to push this kind of creamy stuff that goes down in the ear and it hardens. I did a video on it. I'll post a link in the description below so you can see that. I was very intimidated to do it at first. I'm like squeezing stuff down in my ear. I don't know about that. It was nothing. It was no big deal. All right, so she squeezed this stuff with this kind of big fat syringe into my ear, all in the outer ear, and formed it, and then we let it harden for, I think it was like a minute or something like that, and then I pulled that plug out, sent them off to Axil, and they produced these customs that are molded exactly for my ear, including the second bend of the inner ear. Okay, so it goes deep into the ear canal, unlike your traditional plugs that are just in kind of that outer ear, and give you a lot more protection. All right, but that's not the feature. Here's the feature. When I first got these, I thought there was something wrong with them. I'm used to ear protection that when a gunshot goes off, or even if I snap next to my ear, the ear pro actually clips out. All right, so if it's pumping in the audio, all right, they're electronic, it's pumping in audio, and a snap or a gunshot or something goes off, they clip out, even if just for a half a second or a full second. All right, it totally suppresses the information that's coming into the ears. Axil does it differently. They take the hearing aid approach to this. All right, so the audio stays on the entire time, and they just have a ceiling on how much they will let into the ear, all right? And you know, I was expecting the clip, and so I kept going back and forth with them, and I'm like, these are broken, they're not clipping out. At first I shot 22 suppressed just to see, make sure everything was working, because I didn't want to fire something off and do more damage to my ears if these didn't work. And it wasn't clipping out on me, and so I was like, guys, these things don't work. And I was talking to a sales rep, and ended up sending them back. We thought maybe they were defective. They verified that no, everything's working perfectly. They sent them back to me. I tried them again. I was like, they're not clipping out. Something is wrong with these. So finally I got on the phone with one of their engineers, and the engineer's like, no. We don't clip. We don't clip out. All we do is we put a ceiling on the amount of volume that we will let into the ear so that you can continue to hear everything around you. And I was like, oh, that is awesome. All right, so I have extensive time with all three of these. I recently went to Gunsight Academy a few weeks ago, spent some time there doing some training, and I started out with these customs, and they were fantastic. The thing that I love about these is you can continue to have conversations and hear things around you. Even if gunshots continue to go off around you, they're not constantly clipping out and making you have to lip read and try to figure out what the dude you're talking to is saying. Just this past weekend, in fact, yesterday, I went to the IV-88 range day, and I was still able to have conversations with people. I'll roll in a little video clip here, just some B-roll footage that we got during the event. Now, even more importantly, here's what made me really nervous. I started the day out with these, okay, with the customs, the ones that are custom molded. And if you're familiar with that event, CMMG brings the Mutant, the MK47. It's a 7.62x39 SBR. It is loud, and especially this year, they have a new brake on the end of it. You'll see some of the fireballs and stuff like that. And I was like, ooh, I usually get close-up footage, like right up next to it, but I usually have over-the-ear muffs. And so I started out back away, maybe 15 yards, 20 yards away, and eventually I moved closer and closer, and I started filming people right up next to them. And the blast and the percussion is literally like shaking my beard, but they did an amazing job. There was no ringing in my ears other than what's already there. There was no, I mean, I felt like my heart was getting more palpitations than my eardrums were. But as I said, the battery died, and I actually switched to the extremes, and I wore those for the rest of the day. My wife wore these all day, and she loved them. She asked me when we got back, she was like, what were those? Will you get me a set of those? And I was like, just take these, it's fine. And throughout that event, I have a lot of conversations with a lot of manufacturers, and gunfire is constantly going off, usually 10, 12, 15 feet away from you. And I'll roll in another little piece of footage right here. It's obnoxious to try to listen to people, but I had no problems having a dialogue with people while I had these in. And if you want the Bluetooth functionality, you can certainly get that, so you can pipe music in and things like that. These have them. I typically don't use the Bluetooth portion of it personally. I have AirPods, so like when I'm out on the riding mower and stuff like that, I typically have my AirPods in, but if you don't have something like that, these can double not only as your hearing protection, but also as a set of Bluetooth earbuds. Now, as I mentioned, the customs are very expensive. You got to think there's actually a highly skilled technician who's making these molds for you, all right? This may or may not be for everybody. This is like the ultimate level of hearing protection without going over the ears. And for those of you who are just like, oh, I'll just wear over the ears. Well, these are fine until you try to shoulder a rifle and cheek weld a rifle, all right? It starts to get in the way. And often if you get too tight down on that rifle, these will pop open and compromise the seal, and you'll still get some of that noise underneath the earmuff. These are pretty expensive, I'm not gonna lie. For me, having tinnitus and wanting that ultimate level of ear protection, but also being able to still shoulder and get a good cheek weld on a rifle, kind of starts to make this worth it for me. If it's not for you, if you can't stomach that price, they have a lot of other options. These provide almost the same level of hearing protection, not quite. When I had to switch to these yesterday at IV88, I could notice a little bit of a difference. It's not quite as much of a seal because it doesn't block off that entire outer ear, but there was still no ringing in my ears after the event or anything like that. It did its job. And then even if the cost of these is too much, they have a non-Bluetooth version that's significantly cheaper and pretty much on par with most of the other, you know, standard ear pro that's out there. Now, these two inner ear versions are both rechargeable, okay? So they use a micro USB plug right here on both of those, and the over-the-ear ones just use two AAA batteries, pretty standard. Now, both of these inner ear versions have volume controls separate for both kind of what's around you in your environment as well as the Bluetooth, all right? So it's not like you turn up the volume and your Bluetooth and everything around you comes in. You can control them independently. So if you just wanted a little bit of music playing, but you were shooting and still kind of wanted to hear what was going on around you, it's really nice that you can control both of them independently. And you can use one or the other. So you have to turn on the general, you know, unit, right? And then you can turn on or turn off the Bluetooth by itself. So if you didn't want Bluetooth on at all, just turn it off. Your battery will last that much longer. And that's it, guys. That is the Axil line of hearing protection, all right? If you did like this video, do me a favor. Make sure you're subscribed. I do a lot of giveaways on this channel. In fact, there may be something in the works here too. So make sure you're subscribed, turn those notifications on. I can't tell you how many times I do a giveaway, and after the giveaway is announced, people are like, oh man, I didn't even know you were doing it. And I'm like, well, your notifications probably weren't turned on, all right? Make sure your notifications are turned on, hit that bell icon. If you did like this video, please give it a like. Lots more videos to come. I appreciate you watching, and I'll see you in the next one. Still a little shiny.